high-end combat pussy destroyer. Lasers, cannons, and jet diarrhea. So what ship is the best for combat? Well, you came to the wrong place, but I'll give it a shot anyhow. I like combat! But before that, this video is sponsored by Ridge Wallets. By now everyone probably knows who they are, but in case you missed, they offer up these neat looking compact sized wallets. And if like me, you tend to get a bit hoardy with yours, this is a great way to limit what you can carry, with added bonus of RFID blocking plates and more so, the lifetime warranty. It's a sleek looking little thing, so check out the promo link in the description or use the code TheYamiks for 10% off your next purchase. Simply support the companies that support my work. So then today I'll rank the 5 best combat ships in the whole Elite Dangerous according to this idiot. The rules are simple. The ship must dish out as much tattoo removal lasers and needles, enough to devastate the tramp stamp of your opponent with more brute force than Doomguy applies to that imp's jaw. Generally speaking, the ship also must be pretty good for PvE and PvP. But without further ado, here we go. The 5th spot probably will be a surprise for many, the Chunk Daddy Corvette. Yeah, I know, the Federals are furiously masturbating and typing some comments right now, but listen, the ship is excellent. I could die happy if it sat on my face, but fact is, the ship's only good for PvE combat. Seriously. Yes, it is the 3rd most damage-dealing ship out there. Yes, everyone creams their pants saying it. And yes, the flight deck is both pretty and positioned in a cool spot. Yes, it's also most maneuverable of the big space barges that people use for combat in the first place. The problem, however, is twofold: the max speed and jump range. Well, yeah, sure, most combat ships have absolute garbage tier jump ranges. The top speed, however, will make you wish you had an extra thruster, even if it means strapping a fucking sidewinder to your rear. See, the ship's so slow that no matter what you do, unless you kill the ganking target in a few seconds, even reversing those ships will fly faster than you, let alone reversing or boost running. So out of the sheer disrespect for you, rarely anyone will stick around to fight you. So basically, you're a paraplegic black belt. They'll just run away. And here comes my favorite and personal combat ship that I maxed out just for such a thing, the Python. And also that copycat wannabe, the red-haired soulless stepchild Crate. As I have time again said, both ships are the same. Crate literally is just a copy-paste job. However, in the combat, they do have a notable difference. Starting then with Python. Like an aphrodisiac that you sprinkle into a microwave dinner for a hope of sloppy thrusting later in the night, Python is one heavy, slow-moving and all-rounded ball of fun. While it's notable to be a less maneuverable ship, I personally prefer Python just because it's not one of those meta ships. Python is capable, though if you have the skill, even then you will be at a small disadvantage to your enemy due to that maneuverability and speed. However, you can take a hit and dish it out. Like working laid with mittens, you have to know what you're doing in PvP to stay alive. While in PvE, well, only thing that matters is the damage output. So for that, Python is far more usable and less frustrating than the big ships. Add an extra bonus for being just a great all-rounder and you got a deal. As for the stepchild, the Crate, well, it has less health and more speed. That's about it. My preference is to soak up more damage than attempt some fancy schmancy maneuvers. Mostly because I pilot with sausage fingers, but even so, the extra speed is compelling argument that actually is a reason Crate 2 is a great anti-Xeno ship, which is where I use it instead of Python, which is a little too slow. Number 3 is the ship that I still can't find anything wrong with, the fucking Chieftain. When it was introduced, I really got pissed that I could not find any negatives about it. Seriously, it looks fucking cool, the paint is okay, maneuverability is pure pleasure, and damage, well, for the price, is really good. Even the jump range is not terrible. With this one ship, developers managed to not only plug a specific gap in the ship lineup, but also make 2 very cool and unique ships obsolete and pointless. Assault Ship and Clipper. Even though Clipper by this point was already as relevant as a good education in that freedom land, Assault Ship still managed to hold its unique position as a cheaper alternative to the beefier Furtherlands. The problem though is, both ships were under superpower navy ranks. Oh boy. And to get them, not only you needed the cash, but... So when a ship comes out that's just as maneuverable, capable of doing more damage and costs the same with no need to perform satanic ritual for a space brick, that offer sounds pretty nice. And that's the Chieftain, the poor man's capable ganking machine. The number 2, like a true turd, is the most boring combat ship I could possibly imagine. The FDL, the Furry Lance. With its UFO parts and the bulging thrusters and the moist slit on its belly sure attracts all sorts of weirdos. Fact of the matter is, FDL before engineering was already hyper-focused on combat and did really well, but it wasn't overly overwhelming. Now thanks to engineering though, the UFO got the rainbow-colored UFO vomit. Oh god, what the fuck am I doing with my life? What the fuck is wrong with me? Why am I writing these? Help me! Seriously though, reason why Furry Lance is so beloved and used is not only because of its outstanding ease of use and maneuverability, but the perma boost amount, weapon placement, hardpoint simplicity, and more so the shield amount that makes this an obvious choice. It's super easy to slap some of those garbage weapons you engineered back in the day onto this ship and still dish out punishment that makes most gimps envious. And of course, I've been told by some furry lancers that it's not that good, brah. Ooh, it's like, not good. Mamba is even like better, brah. Come on, Brazier, the fuck? Sure, whatever you say, mate. And the number 1 combat ship with Botox injections, vacuum-sucked bloated lips, tattooed eyebrows, and butt implants is the fabled Cutter. Hold up. You said Corvette was only the number 5 because even out of all the big space barges floating out there like unwanted abortions, it was still the most suitable. So what does the Cutter have over this? Ah yes, well, unlike the Corvette, Cutter does not suffer from asthma. Unlike all other massive ships out there, Cutter has both a decent jump range and enough speed to keep up with the skinny boys for more than 10 meters, whilst retaining similar yet a little bit lower damage. But then to absolutely dunk on its peers, the ship's wrapped in more plastic than your average landfill MP3 player. See, in combat, there are a couple of things that you need to have in order to not be completely embarrassed. Enough speed not to let your opponent run away half the time, enough turning rate that you never need to resort to the stinking crutch called turreted weaponry, and enough health to last longer than a teenager with an open internet access. So, the Cutter has all of that in spades. See, most of the time when you see a Cutter pilot out there in open, they will bail and run away like children as soon as their shield goes to 50%, and then switch to solo mode. Unless, of course, it's a newbie who thought that, hey, I could take my girl for a stroll in the most crime-ridden part of the town at night. Well, bottom line, what this ship lacks in power or turn rate compared to its peers is handsomely compensated by the chunky bumpers they surgically implanted, or the pure speed. Now for PvE, overall the ship is just as good as any other big ship, just that for the anti-Xeno it's even better due to extra speed. And that's the list. For the honor mentions, I want to say that Mamba, due to its being basically another copy-paste ship, this time copying Fer-de-Lance is surprisingly not that similar to its source. However, its racing speed often makes for an interesting alternative to tankiness or maneuverability. And my personal favorite little ship, Vulture. I don't know, maybe it's because I have soft spot for the ship because I learned the most combat stuff in it back in the day. Or maybe I love the idea of hyper-focused combat David with 2 massive bulging dongs dunking on the big boys who can't even turn fast enough. But alas, it lacks staying power and is always on the teetering edge of fuck-upness. Overall, this is my own list, so if you have a different one, I do encourage you to tell me how wrong I was, or at least share your own down below. Or maybe if you enjoyed it, well, consider becoming a patron or YouTube member. That support really does come in handy quite a bit, making these explicit videos, if you will. But as for now, well, go forth my wayward sons, and pick those freelancers, join the boring club and boast how much greater your skill is, despite the ship actually doing the most of the work!